Dave, what encouraged you as you wrote this sermon?
Being able to identify what metaphorical priest I use.
Okay. Andre?
I like how he brought up the part about how like their sacrifices in law wouldn't bring the peace, but almost actually did the opposite of reinforcing that they were these sinners, and that just encouraged me because sometimes as we go through this walk, we start to look at our performance, and that gets discouraging instead of going back to the gospel.
Yeah. Caleb?
Yeah, right there related. Christ provides the perfection we need. That's the point that you drove home.
Hey.
Well, remind me that my primary need has been satisfied by Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that also for me, like, regardless of how much I feel that it's true, that if it's true, it's true. So I should believe it. I should believe it because he is everything that I need. Not like believe it because in believing it, he will become everything you need. So I was convinced of the power of that truth. What did you think? Oh man! Now having preached that, I could have improved that thing. Maybe it was something you were trying and didn't make, or kind of knew you were going to struggle with and then said, "Yeah, struggle with that."
I think I was very focused on content and simplifying my sermon. So it's like, okay, now I need to take that jump and be more familiar with my sermon so I can be more present.
Okay. Andre?
On what can be improved? To me, I know that you had the gospel reference in there, but maybe it wasn't as clear or contrasted within the rest of the sermon, or maybe I just missed that. But I mean, I remember you saying it and bringing it in there, but.
Okay.
One thing, Dave, was you mentioned several times about our need for a clean and changed heart. And you might have done this also, I'm not sure, I might have missed it, but I would have appreciated just being brought to a verse or something to get the connection in my mind with the text on that point.
At the end of the sermon, I don't know what was the main point. If it was that our primary need is a clean and a changed heart, or the other phrase that you repeated a lot at the end, the perfect priest has provided for my primary need. It seems like they're
Competing ideas.
yes, but
Yeah. Yep.
yes,
Like they're close, but they're not.
Yes.
They don't solve. One doesn't solve the other.
yes.
So my main critique is that it was hard to follow your homiletical argument.
Mm-hmm.
In that, primarily, because you had 4 things in the middle. We're back to Mr. List. It's 4 things, but that's a lot of things, first of all. And there's a lot of content that came in those 4 things. And you set it up well as a contrast, but by the time we got to the 3rd one, I had forgotten what the first one was.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would have repeated them, and been simple, so the first way is, and just find a word or 2 words or something that kind of captures it, and that way when you're going back through it, you don't have to explain the whole thing again. It's he's, whatever, he's eternal, he's whatever, and then focus on the Jesus side of it. That would have been far more helpful for me to capture what you were saying about that middle section there and kind of track with how you were moving through the thing. Andre?
Yeah, the only other thing I had for maybe on improvement was just when you did bring up our need for the clean heart, the new heart, just that more of that explanation because of how we get that clean heart, because that's kind of a bigger theme inside of the text of Scripture.
Caleb?
when you spoke about our metaphorical priests, I appreciated how you brought up your own personal example with that. I think I would have benefited by hearing just maybe potential other examples.
Yeah.
In other words, you identifying them for me. Because in the middle of the sermon, I'm like, I didn't know how to identify them in my own life.
Right.
So that could have been helpful.
Good.
I missed or I didn't catch the title and the homiletic outline.
Right. Yeah. Did you have a title for this?
Not that was stated, no.
Okay. Now again, like it doesn't just count if you state it, right? So, but you'd have to use it. So if you don't have one that you're not going to use, fine. But I'd say work on like using one. It would have been helpful. So you set this thing up as a question and answer at the beginning, which I guess was kind of how you were maybe setting up your homiletical outline.
Mm-hmm.
Make it clear that that's what you're doing, and that you're going to move through the text that way, and tell us that you're going to spend the vast majority of the time on the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because you spent very short time on the question, and I agree with you, like most of the thing is the answer. Sets up a problem, then resolves the problem. Great. But tell us that's what you're doing, so that it's easier to track with you that that's what's happening, and we're not like confused when you move to your second point 4 minutes into your sermon. Yeah, because then it's like, okay, really, that's what he told us we were going to do. What was something you think you did well? Maybe an improvement from last time, or based on the advice you got, or you just were like, I tried this and I think it worked?
I feel like I went slower, but I also cut down a lot on words, so I came short on time.
Okay.
Yeah, last time I got you for tone, but I thought this time your tone was very good. Just your presence overall and your pace, I thought was really good.
I thought, Dave, you used illustrations effectively. And one example was when you spoke about I appreciate the personal example. That makes it, that also kind of draws us in, I think. Talking about your apartment with Christian and all the things that don't work. And anyway, what I thought you did effectively in that is you're saying, this didn't work. And then I had no question in my mind what the point of the illustration was, because you used the same terminology in kind of wrapping it up and saying what doesn't work is our turning to, these metaphorical priests and so on.
Yep.
The use of the illustrations, the introduction too, but I really like the way that you present yourself, like with much confidence, very very secure in your tone, in your presentation.
Yeah. So you got particularly hammered last time on your speed and just kind of like rushing through it. So I agree with Andre. You did much better this time. I think you had the right amount of words for 25 minutes. You still did that amount of words in 18 minutes, right? So what it wasn't a speed thing. I thought the speed was okay, but we didn't have much time to breathe. So it was like, you're in Hebrews 7. There's a lot of information here.
Right.
And you didn't give us a lot of opportunity to just kind of sit in silence for a minute. Just think about what I am saying. Right? There was none of that. It was just like, so it wasn't rushing, but it was a constant stream of things being said, and we have 4 points, and here's the first point, and this is Jesus. And so it was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. So it's kind of like a slow rolling tsunami, right? Where it was like, and so when you look at the clock and you say, oh, you had 7 minutes, it could have benefited, maybe not from all 7 minutes, of just keep, so you're way better than last time. Just keep on that trajectory. But you definitely heard our advice from last time, and it was way easier to kind of track with you than last time, which was great. Andre.
So sorry, just to clarify, good pace, but have more just pauses.
Have more pauses and also vary your speed. You have very simple. So your speed was slower.
Yeah.
But the speed was all one note. So you weren't in fifth gear this time, but you were in second gear or third gear and just stayed.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't have any problem tracking with you. I was right there with you the whole time, and
Did you write down all 4 of the things that he mentioned?
I didn't write them down, but I was catching them, and
Sure.
I liked how you kept repeating Jesus, our perfect priest provider. I like just constant. If I was to leave, like I'm leaving with that
Right.
in my head.
Yep.
I really like that.
I thought your introduction was well done and got us engaged, and then also it was well done how you landed it in the text with right here in our text, perfection is what we need. I thought that was powerful.
The repetition of the phrase at the end of the sermon, the perfect priest has provided for my primary need. I really like that because it was something that stayed in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say something similar and it's kind of similar to what Andre was saying. Like, it was, even though the homiletical line could have been clear, there's no question, like, it's set up like, I've got a need for perfection. Jesus is perfection. I need to turn to him, and it's a challenge to do that. It's a challenge for you too. But I need to do that because he is perfection, and I have this problem of perfection. So, like, I don't have this. Where am I going to get it? It was clear that it was Jesus. So that through line carried the sermon all the way home. And that was the point you made. So, there you go.